Welcome to the Welsh Woodman Workshop, and in tonight's video I'm going to be showing you how to turn this really dry piece of pine that's come from an old scaffolding board into a nice sort of coloured shallow bowl or platter. So we're going to be covering some scorching techniques in tonight's video and some colouring techniques as well, and hopefully that'll be useful for you. And remember, if you do find tonight's project useful, please consider supporting me in subscribing to my channel by hitting the link there, as that's really going to help me out in getting more videos like this your way. So I hope you enjoy. So I've just got them attached up to the lathe, so I've drilled a little hole to create like a mortise gap, and I've got my tiny pin jaws expanded into that gap, which is giving me a really strong hold on the block of wood. So if you want to see how I've done that, I've got plenty of videos showing that already on my channel. So we're just going to turn them on then, see how it's spinning. First thing we're going to do is with our dividers that have been set to the size of my little pin jaws, do a little mark on there, trailing point down. So that's going to be my little mortise in there. I'm going to be using a parting tool to part down to the length I need. And I'm going to go in about 10 millimeters. And this is extremely dry, this pine. Okay, and I'm going to do a slight undercut, slight dovetail angle to match my jaws. Sorted. Right, I can start establishing my shape now with the bowl gouge. So on this bowl gouge I've got what's known as a 40-40 grind, so the wings are swept back to 40 and the bevel edge is 40. And I'm just going to hog away some of this material by doing some push cuts, so establishing the bottom, the foot of the bowl with that line. So I'm not going to cut past that line for a bit. So I'm peeling away the material. Okay, so we got that nice and smooth shape sorted there. We can start establishing a foot a bit more now. Now, if possible, it's always best to try and do your cut in one from the bottom all the way through to the edge. That'll give you, it should give you a smoother cut if you've got a nice sharp tool, number one. And number two, you're less likely to get sort of transition line points, and you don't have to blend them in then, so it saves you a bit of time. Right, so just have a look at the shape when it's off. Yeah, quite happy with that. I'll bring the camera around so you can have a look. So you can see coming in, slight sort of dip in there and foot, so ever so slightly, so it'll be sat up from the table, so that's what I want. Right, what I'm going to do now is my sanding process, and you want to just make sure this is nice and silky smooth before we move on to the next step. Very good. And ideally you should have an extractor on as well. Let's turn him off, see how we're doing. Like I've got some little tiny bits in the end grain there. I'm going to sand by hand. Right, we're going to do the exciting part now in blowtorching this. Now, you do need to have a fire extinguisher safe to hand, and ideally one of those fire blankets as well, just in case. But we're going to make sure that any of the shavings are knocked directly out of the way. So we're going to scorch this round. Now, I tend to use a map gas for this, as I find it works really well. And I've just got one of these blowtorch attachments to that gas then. And the great thing about this technique, if you've got like little tiny bits of tear out in the end grain, really focus on those with this map gas. Because the next step will get rid of that then. Just constantly keep this moving. If you don't, it'll start catching a light. We don't want that. Okay, sometimes with this, if you overheat it, you're going to get cracks and things like that forming. And with pine especially, you'll get resin pockets sometimes coming through, which is quite cool. We're going to use a brush next. So I'm going to use a brass brush. It's a nice fine brass brush. Really important you're wearing goggles with this stage, because if you do get one of these brush things in your eye, unlike the sort of steel wire brushes, they can't pull that out with a magnet, so it's a serious thing, so look after your eyes. So we're going to brush in the direction of the grain. This is the key thing. We do nice and light to begin with, and the areas we want to highlight later on we can go over and push darker. And you'll start to see, we're getting this, hopefully you see on the camera, getting this textured look. And what happens then with that textured look, so you have two different types of growth in the tree. You've got an early growth or late growth, or if you make it simpler, you've got a winter growth and a summer growth. Because the tree doesn't grow as much in the winter, because the lack of sunlight for photosynthesis, you get these hardier lines forming. And that's what's being sort of kept behind. So you've got the summer growth being worn away more because it's not as hardier in its growth, and you've got the winter growth staying behind. Cool. Right, we get a soft brush now to brush away the stuff we don't need. So just using a normal sort of shoe polishing type brush to get away all the charcoaly bits. Don't want any of those left over. Right, the fun part. So we're going to go with the green, the same colour as the lathe, and I'm going to be using these Fiddy Spirit wood stains or wood dyes. So it's really good, the fact that we've got the different sort of tones coming through with the scorching, and you definitely want to be wearing gloves with this, unless you want to look like the witch from The Wizard of Oz. I won't tell you how I found that out, but this stuff takes about 3 days to sort of wash out of your hands, so it's definitely worth doing that. So you just want to rub this on in the direction of the grains. I'm just using a plain paper towel to help me do this. Now this will absorb into the wood, and especially as we've sort of opened up those pores with the brass brush. As this starts to dry, the colours will start to pop, and we'll see the different tones in the colours coming through, especially with the darks and the lights from the scorching. Okay, so that's pretty sort of sunk in now. We're just going to let this dry. So I'm looking around the piece to see if there's any areas I haven't covered or want to cover a bit more. So I don't know how well the camera's picking up that variations in the green, but we're going to remount this now on the pin jaws. That's why we've got that tiny mortise hole there. Push them in the centre. Chucky expanding out. Nice strong hold on that, that's good. And we can get turning the inside profile now. So I adjust my tool rest around about, so I'm cutting along the halfway line. So I do a plain cut across the top. So I've got them nice and level off now. Now I'm going to do a slight angle cut into the edge, to the side. curved edge into the side, quite like that. We can start working into the middle now.
I want this to be quite a shallow bowl, not only because I got a mortise in the other end, but I think it'll just suit the piece. So I want to do one sweeping cut from the outside the shoulder right into the middle, doing a curve as I get to the bottom. Okay, and we're there. I'll do one more refining cut on that rim. So you can go as heavy as you want with the scorching, or you can go as light as you want. The heavier you scorch, the more material you're going to take away. The lighter you scorch, obviously the less pronounced you're going to get between the different growth patterns. Summer and winter growth. I'm going to go with quite a deep one. So any undesirable scratches you don't want in the piece, try and get them out now. If you've got really annoying ones, what you can actually do is go back to a bit of sandpaper. Just rub out those scratches. And some people I know will go around with sandpaper as well and highlight the areas they want to really pick up with the dye, so the dye's to be lighter on. That's what I'm just going to do around the rim really quickly. And this will just help us give it a little bit more tone to the piece again. Right, I'm going to add the dye to the top now. So a little tip then, when we're sort of going from the actual bowl into the edge, if you blend it in slightly, so drag the dye over, you get like a gradual feathered effect, and it blends in nicer then, rather than just having two separate, just the bowl and the rim itself. And a little bit of this dye goes a long way, which is really good. It's always worth putting less dye on than more, in my opinion, because you can always add more, but you can't take it off once you put it on very easily. So here's the completed piece. Got lots of lovely sort of green variations coming through here, which is really cool. The back then, got the little logo disc in the bottom to hide up that mortise, so it looks intentional. And it's a really simple shape on this one. It's literally a slight foot, curve out to the edge, slight curve down. Really dead simple turning, but a lot of fun playing around with the colours. Now you can do exactly the same sort of technique with different colours. So I've got a red one I've done here. You can see the knot in there, it's quite pretty. And you can also mix colours together with this technique. So I've got a red and a brown mixed together to give this sort of purple look, and you can also add in things like gilt cream to give this silvery sort of shimmer to it. So it's endless sort of possibilities. Hope that's really helpful for you and you've enjoyed watching. If you have enjoyed, please remember to hit the subscribe button down below, as that'll help me get more videos like this your way. So I hope you have a great night. Diolch yn fawr, nos da.